Ever since Luke saw the future torture of Han Solo and Leia in The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars fans have been fascinated with the Force and its ability to foresee the future. In Return of the Jedi, the Emperor boasts the gift of foresight in predicting the destruction of the rebellion and the turning of Luke Skywalker to the dark side. In Episode 1, Qui-Gon Jinn's belief in the prophecy of the Chosen One brings Anakin Skywalker to the Jedi Temple, where he would begin his training. In Episode 2, Sifo Dyas's visions of the end of the Republic would begin his involvement of ordering a clone army from the Kaminoan cloners against the wishes of the Jedi Council. Finally, Anakin Skywalker's vision of Padme's death would drive him to the dark side and lead to the destruction of the Jedi and the revenge of the Sith. In short, Jedi prophecies tended to lead to a lot of problems in the movies, so it's easy to see why the Jedi didn't have any official Jedi prophets anymore, as had existed many generations prior. But is there more to the question of why they didn't exist by the time of the movies? To answer this, let's look at the years before Episode 1, when Qui-Gon Jinn was a young apprentice to Jedi Dooku. At this time, Jedi prophets were non-existent, and the Jedi didn't even speak of them. In the canon book Master and Apprentice, we learn about this the very first time, even learning about Jedi prophecies. On his first day of apprenticeship to Dooku, Dooku takes Qui-Gon on a tour of the Jedi Temple and through the Jedi archives. As the new librarian Jocasta Nu leads them through the collection of old holocrons, Qui-Gon sees a particularly ancient holocron, whose shape and color is unlike any of the others. He feels drawn to it and picks it up. He asks Dooku what the holocron is about and what centuries it covers. Qui-Gon turns around and is shocked to see the look of his master's face, a look of contempt, as if the holocron Qui-Gon is touching were an enemy. But that makes no sense. What is it? Dooku tells him that it's the holocron of Jedi prophecies. Prophecies? Qui-Gon asks. He has never heard of this before. There are Jedi prophets? Not any longer, Dooku says intensely. The ancient mystics sought undue knowledge of the future. It led them down dangerous paths. Those drawn too deeply into them were often tempted by the dark side. The dark side? Qui-Gon whispered. He knew it was a thing all beings carried in them, a part of himself he would learn to guard against. He had learned about it while being a youngling, but it still sounded a little like some sort of ghost or monster, a mysterious thing that would leap out from the shadows that would get you when you weren't looking. That is why we study prophecy no longer, Dooku says abruptly as he leaves. Qui-Gon hurries to catch up. Master, just wanting to know the future can lead you to the dark side? It takes more than that, Dooku says, his dark eyes unreadable. So if that was Qui-Gon's first time learning that Jedi prophecies existed, that means that the younglings didn't even learn about them at all. Plus, the Jedi didn't even really teach the younglings about the dark side, apparently. Over the years, Qui-Gon covertly studied them until Dooku found out. Dooku was upset and explained that the prophecies almost consumed him years earlier, which is why he sought to avoid them now. But he says, if Qui-Gon is going to study them, Dooku will guide him in the pursuit so that Qui-Gon avoids the same mistakes that Dooku made and wouldn't go too far down that dark path. The Jedi Masters and Council at the time didn't talk about Jedi prophets or encourage the pursuit of Force visions because of how they led the involved Jedi down into darkness. As a Jedi sought the future, they then sought to control it and change it, which inevitably led to a fear of loss and fear of the unknown, which, as Yoda always counseled, led to the dark side. When Qui-Gon took Obi-Wan as his apprentice, he made Obi-Wan study the prophecies with him for years. Obi-Wan, being headstrong and full of decisions, asked why they were doing something that other Jedi didn't believe in. He said, the Jedi don't have such mystics anymore. We're meant to put aside such visions of the future because we can't know whether they will come to pass. Master Yoda even says such visions can bring them to darkness. To Obi-Wan's astonishment, Qui-Gon agrees. Yes, seeking the future can be a form of control, which can lead to the dark side. But then Qui-Gon continues, and learning the forms of lightsaber combat is a way of preparing for violence. Violence too can lead to the dark side. Many paths can lead to the dark side. So while the Jedi Council had long stopped teaching about how to receive visions of the future and long stopped encouraging their study, Qui-Gon didn't see it any more harmful than studying lightsaber fighting. Despite this, I can see why the Jedi didn't have any prophets anymore. Qui-Gon was unique in that he always followed the will of the Force rather than a Jedi code or his own passions. It was only after a lifetime of study and after his own Force vision, which I can talk about in another video, he realized that knowing the future didn't mean having control over over it. Rather, knowing the future meant surrendering to fate, surrendering to the ebb and flow of life. Only through that surrender could the Force be truly known. Other Jedi who sought after visions in the past couldn't surrender to fate, and it led them down to dark paths, as Dooku said. Dooku himself wanted to change the future. Anakin, as well, wanted to change it. Sifo-Dyas wanted to change it so bad that he created an army which led to the destruction of the Jedi Order entirely. Even after the events of the Republic, Yoda still cautioned Luke about sensing the future and not trying to do anything to change it, even after seeing his friends be tortured, because as Obi-Wan had said, uncertain it was. So while I can see how the future and listening to the Force led to some great victories in the Star Wars universe, it also led to some of the greatest losses. So what do you guys think? Do you think the Jedi were right to get rid of the Jedi mystics and suppress the teachings of prophecies? Or was it another folly in their hubris that led to their eventual downfall at the hands of the Sith? Let me know down in the comments below. If you were Qui-Gon, would you want to dive deeper into that holocron of prophecies, or would you just leave it be? Thanks for watching this video. Hit like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.